G'day, good evening. Thank you so much for watching. Come on into the Man Cave at the end of a hump day. Your week's almost over. Not really, but you get my point. All right. We are on air all over the country, but we are specifically on air, free to air in regional Australia, and I know we are in and around the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Before we get to the politics, and there'll be plenty of that, we'll get to the emergency situation that is unfolding as we speak. We have learnt today that up to 50,000 residents in lots of little places and big ones as well, up and down the mid-north coast, they are in a world of trouble right now. Taree has been a particular focus, and I know that there was some concern today that all of the people who needed to be rescued, including people off roofs, may not have been so by the fall of the sun and into the evening this evening. Here is part of those that have been able to be contacted in and around Taree tonight.
We just really want to get some rescue out here, and our neighbours here on the back veranda here, they are also stranded.
It was well in, and it's now well over a metre high through the house.
And the river has been constantly rising for the last 48 hours and is well over 6 metres.
All right, as for the emergency response, which is still playing out in this part of Australia, the mid-north coast is, of course, a very large area, while technically in and around places like Port Macquarie, Kempsey, up to Coffs Harbour, yes, Taree, everything from little places like Nambucca Heads all the way through to other areas. Again, this is the latest map that we have for you here. So I know there's a lot of people watching us, from caravan parks like Valor Beach all the way through to big centres like places like Taree, Kempsey, Port and all the rest. So the latest info in a moment from the SES. From the Emergency Services Minister in New South Wales today, Jihad Dib. This was his latest information.
We expect that today's weather will also continue with predictions of between 150 and 200 millimetres, particularly in that mid-north coast area. And what we are also seeing is a movement of that rain band further north, starting to impact into southern parts around the Coffs Harbour area.
Now, let's talk again about this rain, where it's been. Huge amounts of it are on top of already very wet land, and like it was with the Lismore floods years ago, obviously, when there is no rain being able to be absorbed by the ground, it literally just turns to glass and obviously makes its way up from the rivers, down from the hills, and there's plenty of hills around this area as well. So that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. This is the latest when it comes to the weather situation for the next little while.
We've already seen the peak in the Patterson River, and that is easing now, while Wallumbay Brook at Bulga may reach the major level tomorrow morning. But it's further north that I've got greater concerns. The Hastings River and the Nambucca River, both of them are either at major level, such as Wauchope, or likely to reach major, such as Maxville. But with the rain that is still forecast, those two rivers may also follow suit with Taree and get up to at least close to that record flood height, depending on the rain that is still to come in those regions.
Colin Malone is with the State Emergency Service in New South Wales. And let's get the latest information from him. Now, anyone who's driven up and down the Pacific Highway, as it has been over the years, knows that it's still quite a significant amount of countryside from Taree to Coffs. Colin, what's the latest about what's happening now? Because, again, I'm able to have heard yourself or one of your colleagues on the radio this afternoon with this concern in and around the number of evacuations or rescues that you had to get done before it turned to nightfall. What's it like, a few hours into the night now?
Good evening, Paul, and good evening to all your viewers and listeners joining us tonight. We had confirmed in the early afternoon, before the night shift started, that all people that were on roofs that needed to be rescued had been rescued. Great. There's a few final people that are being followed up on and checked up on in the Taree and Glenthorne area, just to make sure, because sometimes we get duplicate calls come through, but we're spending the early part of tonight just double checking with all the people, getting contact with them, making sure that we did get everyone out. It was a dynamic situation, as I think we all seen on the news, that we'd go into a resident that had called, and then a whole street of residents were still there, and we worked with them to get them out safely as well. So the numbers that were pulled out were beyond the 52 that we originally thought that were still in there. We actually conducted 379 flood rescues in the last 24 hours. It's been a massive 24 hours for all the emergency services and our volunteers.
I'm just looking here at one of the maps, and obviously there's the coastal areas. That's where most of the people are, but there are little townships and a lot of people living on large parts of land by themselves the further we start to go in. Now, when you've only got so many people, how do you start to triage to say, okay, let's deal with Taree, let's deal with Maxville up the road, let's deal with Nambucca, but then what about a place like Wauchope? What about places that are a little further in that presumably those volunteers may well be not in those towns? How have you been able to surge the people inland?
So we've had in that part of the world over 1,600 volunteers operational and active through the day and continuing into the night. We've got all of our emergency service partners working with us on this operation. So we've got extra flood rescue crews from Ambulance, Fire and Rescue, Volunteer Rescue Association, some from the Rural Fire Service as well. So we're taking a whole of state approach here where we work together under the SES's leadership. And we're pre-deploying those into all those communities. So assets were put into the at-risk communities. We didn't just put them all in one location. Of course. We spread them around those at-risk communities.
Yeah, so let's talk about the picture through the night and into tomorrow. Matching where the rain is, I mean, our own people on our weather channel here starting to say that, the further up we go is where potentially we might be in the next 24 hours. Give me an idea about the coverage plan for the next 24 hours.
Yeah, so what we're looking at over the next 24 hours is definitely the rain spreading up to about the Coffs Harbour area. So we've got evacuation orders in place for Kempsey, for Gladstone, for Smithtown, parts of Nambucca, Jerseyville in that general area as well, and a number of those other localities north of the Manning and the Hastings. So moving all the way up the coast to about that Coffs Harbour area. We've got 2 incident control centres running 24/7 in that part of the world. So one in that Hunter mid-north coast area, and another one that actually operates out of Lismore, but it covers down to that Coffs Harbour area. So a lot of resources are focused on the coast tonight, and we've got a lot of warnings out, and all those communities are being engaged with.
So give me an idea. I'm just, again, trying to think about people that are watching us in places like Taree. Again, I'm just looking here at Kempsey up to Coffs. There's a lot of people that when they're evacuated, they go to these evacuation centres. Is the expectation about the flood movement, the rainfall and what comes in towards the coast, that anyone in those places should expect to be there for just tonight or a couple of nights?
I think everyone needs to prepare for at least a few nights away from home. It's so hard to understand, particularly if we look at what occurred on the river in Taree. We broke the 1929 record overnight last night. So the Mother Nature and the weather is just continuing to be relentless. The best known plans and the best known records that we have got exceeded. So we're watching and monitoring as close as possible. As soon as we can give the all clear for people to go back home, we will. But I think everyone should plan for being a couple of nights away from home as a minimum.
All right. If anyone needs information, the number is obvious behind you, 132 500. But can I just say, to all of the people that are volunteers in your organisation, for those of us that are sitting back, not involved in the emergency, we thank you for the effort. We know the energy levels are always hard to keep up, but the spirit is always there. A great job you have been able to mobilise in the past couple of days, and obviously I hope that the work gets easier, although we know it probably won't in the next few days. Thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Good on you, Colin. Thank you. Colin, of course, there with the SES. Now, again, this coverage area, can we bring the map back, please, from the start of the show? I'm just looking at the rain radar that is right now. Very heavy falls are everywhere from, say, Kempsey all the way through up to, I'm just looking here, past Coffs Harbour, even up to Wooleye. And in terms of it going in, it is into Dorrigo right now. It is, as you can see, quite widespread. And because, as you can also see to the right of your screen there, the amount of water that these things are able to produce and then turn around and dump when it gets back onto the coastline, that is part of the problem of the next little while. Strength and love to everyone. Now, we are, of course, part of the emergency information system for people in those areas. If anything changes in this hour, that's what I'm going to talk about over any and everything else. In the meantime, please keep an eye on skynews.com.au. Keep a look at the SES website, the Hazards website, or Hazards Near Me in New South Wales, and we'll make sure, again, all the information possible and rolling weather coverage over on Sky News Weather.